Torah keeps track of the past. Why do we need to know the past? We need to know the past because the past is hurting us. It's hurting us in a very subtle way. So subtle, so silent, that if nobody told us, we never would have noticed. We would notice the pain, probably. We would definitely notice the discomfort, but we would never know why. We would never know that it could have been different. We would think that what we see is what we get. This is life, this is reality, this is the world. Get used to it, grow up, move on. But the Torah says, no. This is not life. This is not reality. Don't move on. The past took things from you that are rightfully yours. You need them. You just don't know you need them. You know why you don't know that you need them? Because the past didn't tell you. They took that information from you. They took that information from you because they were busy with something else, something a lot less important. So they managed to give over many things to you. It's just that whatever they gave is not only not useful, it's downright dangerous to your health. And this is very subtle. It happens in the realms that humanity left a long time ago. This is another gift we have from the past. We are very unfamiliar with our subtle needs, with our emotional structure, with how we really work. We don't understand the effects of beliefs. It's not because we're not intelligent enough to understand these things, it's because people at some point in the past decided that it's not important. People at some point in the past decided that it's extremely important to eradicate wisdom so that they can have more control. This is the reality. We're not talking about a story. This is your life. Those people who came before you, who waged wars, who lived despicable lives, they set the planet up to whatever came next. And whatever came next wasn't prettier. And we inherited all that. If there was no Torah, we wouldn't even know where to start. We would have no idea. And we would assume that the Creator is really out to get us. What is with him? Why even create such a mess? And so the Torah comes and says, oh, it wasn't a mess. Your ancestors, they made a mess. You inherited a mess because people made it messy. Very messy. People were being stupid. People wasted what was given to them for free. They didn't have to do anything, and they had everything, and they didn't care. They wanted what the other guy had. People who were extremely unreasonable. Why it was the way that it was? It goes further back. This has been a long time coming. But at some point, it's going to stop. The madness is going to stop. At some point, sanity is going to return. Insanity is not going to reign supreme forever. And so if we want to understand the nature of our interaction with reality, we have to understand all the events that shaped reality, that shaped culture, that shaped society, that shaped civilization. Civilization itself. How did civilization come into existence? How would we ever know? Now we have information, very valuable information. Information that claims that civilization was never intended to be human-friendly. Civilization was designed to cut humans down in size, to remove their spiritual power. This is the nature of civilization. This is the design. It hasn't changed in 4,000 years. The methods have changed. The messages have changed. The idols have changed. The symbols have changed. The purpose hasn't changed. People are running faster than ever to serve something that they gain nothing from, something that took their livelihood, took their mental health, took their emotional stability, put them into constant stress. And they're working all day for that. And so humanity was in a state where they could no longer exist. They pushed the boundaries, they pushed the limits of what nature designed until it can no longer continue that way, until nature was tilted out of balance. The energy coming from the human hearts was creating negativity within the collective heart. The Torah says a language about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayisatzev aliboy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's heart was broken. The collective heart was broken by all the individual hearts being broken. And then events happen. The design of nature reacts, just like in an individual. In an individual, if we push a little too hard, and it pushes back. In the collective, we push too hard, it pushes back. What does pushing back look like? It could come through natural disasters, or it could come through human-made disasters. All of them are from the collective heart of nature being upset. Wars, broken hearts, pain, suffering. People will go as far as they need to protect their families. And so it just brings more and more destruction, more and more hate, more and more negativity within the collective heart. And so there was a restart. Noach was a restart. Noach was, we're going to try this one more time. Noach didn't work. The Bnei Noach became what we now know as civilization. What Chazal call monkeys. Why monkeys? Brains that are not intelligent enough to know who they're serving. brains that are run by the imagination. That's the nature of a monkey. When there's only imagination that's running the being, that's the nature of a monkey. It looks like a human, but it's not human. What's the sign of a human? Compassion. Heart. Attachment to a human heart. No compassion, no human. Civilization was not built on compassion. In fact, the one compassionate guy in that generation was absolutely against it. Avram wanted no part of it. He didn't want his children to have any part of it. This is why we have our own portable culture that we take with us wherever we go. Because we don't want any part in civilization. Civilization is the enemy of nature. We don't want to be wiped out when nature fights back. Nature will fight back. You push too hard, it pushes back. Just like on the individual, so on the collective. Nature will push back. We're doing crazy things. We're being insane as a species. We're being self-destructive. We're destroying our own habitat because of ideas, because of possessions, because too many have been taken over, are under the influence of spells. And they're in charge. They're running around like crazy, because they are crazy. Who can keep up with the crazy? The crazy has too much energy. Nobody can keep up. And so the world is running, but it's not running home. It's running away from home. But it's going to be called back home eventually. So humanity is on a very deep journey into the imagination. One guy imagines a technology. He uses the 4 elements in order to create that imagined thing, and suddenly everybody needs to have it. Everybody wants to participate in that person's imagination. Imagination is not healthy. Imagination has side effects. So what if it looks cool? We've forgotten the type of species that we are. We've forgotten who we're working for. We've forgotten what we're trying to serve. I'm not saying that we can leave these things. But even if we use them, we have to use them for the heart, for no other purpose. We have to remember what we're using them for. Otherwise, we're just another monkey. Unaware of what we're trying to serve, who we're trying to protect, where we're headed. A city is something that has been imagined by a human. It's not a real thing. There's no such a thing as a city. Someone imagined a city, and then he took the 4 elements and he built his imagination. And now people are living in those shelves as if that's supposed to be a human residence. It's not. It's not the habitat of a human being by nature. These things have consequences. Everything has consequences. Our nerves are very specific. Yeah, we can adapt. It doesn't mean that we should build things and then adapt. We're adapting away from our nature. We're forgetting who we are. We're forgetting our needs, our real needs. We're losing touch. We're becoming like a monkey, but not a monkey in his natural habitat, a monkey in a zoo. So the Dara Mabul was one attempt of leaving everything open and everything is allowed. And then it didn't work. And then the Dara Flaga. People took control. There was no other choice. The goal was unity. This is why it still exists 4,000 years later. But not the type of unity that we want. Not the type of unity that works for us, that works in our favor. It's a unity that's enforced by fear. Civilization is a unity that is enforced by fear. This is not healthy. It's very productive. People will run from fear and they'll do anything, as you can see. But it's not healthy. It's not where we want to go as a species. It's not helping us grow and realize our potential. It's not making us desire more wisdom, because we're constantly running. We're constantly in survival mode. Civilization is survival mode. It's about running and running and running and never getting there. You run, not when you get there you stop, but when you can't run no more, that's when you get to stop. Even though you feel like you need to keep running, but you simply can't, so you stop. That's the only way out. So what's the alternative? We don't know. The past didn't tell us. The past didn't tell us the alternative. The past told us many things about what happened in the past, but they didn't tell us. Because the goal is to heal and to find out for ourselves. That's the only real way to know. The past cannot know. Even if the past was loyal to itself, we would still be different than the past. Because we're not the past. But if we had the accurate information from the past, we would be able to apply it in the present and know what we really need. So by the past erasing this information, they were trying to keep the future from recreating it. So those who wanted to instill fear, those who wanted the unity to be directed by fear, it wasn't enough for them that their generation be trapped in it. They needed the whole future to be trapped in it. That's how greedy they were. Destroy any memory, any remnants, any book, anything. Anything that might give someone access in the future to something better, to something more authentic, to something more real. This is why we are so distant from reality. It's not our fault. This is an inheritance. We're inheriting from previous generations. Those previous generations are us. Same spirit, same beings, same hearts, same story. We'll just keep coming back until we make it better. And so Avraham Avinu says, I want my children to be different. I don't want civilization. So what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell him? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Civilization is going to happen, my friend. You can either be with them or against them. And so therefore, if you want to be against civilization, the definition of that is galus. You want to be in exile. And so Avraham Avinu received that as a gift, that his children will be in exile in civilization. They will not find their place in civilization. This is the gift that he prayed for and he received. Therefore they went down to Egypt. Egypt represented civilization. Egypt was the most developed civilization of all time. They were the most advanced in placing spells and understanding the spiritual and knowing how to manipulate it. All cultures that come after are just subcultures of Egypt, are just little pieces of the Egyptian wisdom. Every culture, including the American culture, which is a result of the Greek and the Roman cultures, they all came from Egypt. They're all pieces of Egypt. Different pieces of magic, of keeping people enslaved to ideas, to reward, to the general busyness of life that doesn't let them be themselves, that doesn't even let them notice that they're missing something, that doesn't even let them notice that this was not the way it was meant to be. That's something that's buried deep in their hearts know. But they don't even have time to listen. They're too busy running. And so this was the main purpose of creating Klal Yisrael. This is the main purpose of the Torah, is to keep us separate. So that when the day comes and this experiment falls apart, we should remain standing. Because this experiment is not helping humanity. All the advances that come from greed are not going to help humanity. They're going to have some purpose, some usage. That's why they're being created. That's why the resources are being invested in them. But they're not going to be the ones that save humanity. They're not going to return the human spirit to its former glory. Those who will make a difference will come with the appropriate motivations. The heart knows the heart. A heart mirrors the heart. And the effect we have on the collective heart is the signal, the vibration that we're sending from our individual heart. If the signal is not in line with the collective heart, then it won't have an impact in a place that it's real. If the brain is being very clever, while it's not attached to the heart because it has alternative motives, those things are not going to last on this planet. Those things are superficial. They were done with superficial intention, and therefore they will remain superficial. And so all the things humanity is developing, they're tools. They're tools that are going to serve some type of purpose, but it's not the purpose that is going to resolve our issues. It's not what's going to help us find the truth. It's not what's going to help us find ourselves. Those things are biological, they're not technological. Those things, from those things come all the ideas to create whatever we create. All the illusions, all imagination comes first as a signal from the heart, as a potential of life force. So this is why Klal Yisrael is called Hein Am Levodod Yishkoin Ibagoim Lo Yischashav. It's a nation that rests separately. He's not counted amongst the nations. The nations represent civilization. The nations represent attempts by the imagination, by the monkey mind, to impersonate a human, to pretend like the motivation is real, to pretend like they really care about other people, to pretend like they're doing things because they feel for the masses. But anybody that looks a little closer can see the corruption, can see how fake it is. They're there because they want power. They're there because they want money, because they want connections, because they want votes, because they want whatever it is that they want. It certainly has nothing to do with compassion. And so it's not real. And so it can't last. By definition, it can't last. The longer it lasts, the more of a burden it is to humanity. The more it suffocates the light of the truth. And so eventually it will fall. It has to fall. It's good that it falls. It's not the people. The people can all be liberated. It's the concept that falls. It's the spell that suddenly disappears, and people wonder what was wrong with them. What were they thinking? How didn't they know of this before? Where were they? Why didn't anybody tell them? That's the nature of a spell. It only makes sense while you're under the spell. Others are looking and seeing the craziness, and yet the one under the spell, he doesn't see any craziness. To him, this is perfectly normal. And so may we see the redemption of humanity happen in a way of compassion, in a way of kindness, in a way where no human being has to suffer. They simply realize that there's another way. They simply realize the truth that liberates them and changes them, so that all of humanity can unite as one. May it happen soon.